steps into the box, oh my gosh, unstoppable. I want to show you something real quick. As we think about the benefits of being in the zone or in a flow state, there are many. High focus, high performance. If we're learning something, we're learning it faster. If we're performing it better. So in this video, I'd like to share with you some tips of how we can encourage ourselves and prepare ourselves to enter and stay in the flow state. A huge benefit about being in the flow state is that distractions just don't bother us. We're focused and on target. We have clear goals. It's great. So if we're not in a flow state and we have other distractions, we're thinking about other things, it's very difficult to be a high performer if our mind's somewhere else. I was at a class many years ago, and they talked about how many of you are thinking about the past, or what percentage of the time do you think about the past and things that happened? People would say 10% or 15% or 20%. And then she asked, how many of you are thinking about things in general in the future? How much percentage of your time? Another 10% or 50%. And then she came up with this conclusion that, well, if you're spending 30 to 80% of your time thinking about the past or the future, you're not really present. And so I was chatting with Ryan a couple days ago, a coworker and a friend of mine, and he told me about an experiment that one of his trainers or teachers asked them to do, and it went something like this. They set an alarm, I think it was every hour, and in that alarm, when it went off, they would have to pause at that moment and then jot down where they were emotionally. Were they thinking about the past or the future, or were they present and focused? And they did that exercise. I think he said it was 2 weeks. I thought to myself, that's a great exercise to find out whether or not our mind is always somewhere else. So I did it. I did it on the 8th. And I did it I did my workout in the morning, and then I started at 7 and then every half hour. And I did it till 10:30. I was shocked. Oh my goodness. I thought, oh, I'm in the zone a lot. I'm focused. I'm doing great things. But I discovered that wasn't the case. Check this out. At 7 a.m., I was in the future, and I wrote down what I was thinking about too. And then at 7:30, I was in the past, thinking about a concert that I went to. And then at 8, I was the future, 8:30. So boiling it all down, 7 of those events, 7 of those timestamps, every half hour I did it, 7 of those I was absolutely thinking about something that was going to happen or in the future or something I had to do, just thinking about it. And one of those times, I was thinking about the past. So I was not in flow any one of those times. That's an eye-opener. It's like, wow, if I could be focused more, and this is for our own development, if I could be focused more in the moment I'm in, like right now with this video as I'm talking to you, I am in this moment, present. And as I put myself more in flow and in the zone, I can be more productive and get more things done. So I want to share with you some specific tips that we can use to both get in the zone and stay in the zone. So step number 1, the night before, what we want to do is take a look just for a moment at some of the tasks that we have on our priority sheet. And if you haven't seen the video on prioritization, please take a look at that. It involves writing out our priorities, what we want to do, and also the next immediate steps to get those done. So the night before, we take a look at our high priority tasks and also the next steps, and let our subconscious think on that all night. Not worry about it, because we already know what we have to do. It's already written. But if we just review those and say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to focus on this and these are my high priority goals, and let your subconscious the night before focus on those and think about those so you can hit the ground running the next day. That's a huge step, is to preload what you're going to do the night before so you're ready to hit it running the next day. Also, as part of that, when you visualize those tasks being as you visualize those tasks being done the next day, visualize them being done well, knocking them out of the park, getting them done, visualizing or imagining how it's going to feel when those are done, and that's all going to help the preloading, and your subconscious can work on that all night free of charge, and you can still rest. So step number 2 is the next day, that morning, have a routine in place that gets you into those tasks. For example, don't wake up and just check your email or social media or anything else. Don't look at the news. Get up and have a system. Here's my system, and it's been very helpful for me, and I would encourage us to adopt some type of system that if you don't feel like working out or you don't feel like doing it, that no longer becomes part of the equation. So here's how it goes. On weekdays, I get up before 6 a.m. So I put my watch on, I get myself a little boost by saying, okay, I'm gonna have my first move goal before 6 a.m. I go downstairs, my shoes are on, I take a cup of broth that I drink, I take some vitamins, I fill up my water that goes on my elliptical, and I use an app and I do elliptical. And it's it's pretty fun. I use a little tool called, an app called BitGym. I'll have a separate video on that later. Anyway, that's my routine. Now, this morning, it's Saturday today, so I gave myself an extra hour. I was up a little late last night. So I got up before 7 instead of before 6 because it's the weekend. So I gave myself a little time. I got up. I didn't really feel like exercising, but it wasn't part of the equation. It was, okay, you're going to go work out. So I got on and I started. And after that workout, I'm still in my workout clothes, by the way, I thought to myself, well, one of my tasks today is to create this video on flow state and getting into it. And so this is an example, a living example of doing that. So the first thing is plan or think about those tasks the night before so your subconscious can work on it. In the morning, just go ahead and use your system to get into whatever your routine is as far as working out or exercise or eating well or whatever it is, and then get right to your tasks. So this morning, it's 8:11 a.m. on a Saturday. My goal today that I thought about last night was to create this video regarding flow state and how to get in it. So I'm living the example that is beneficial and useful. And if I can do it, you can do it too. So having the clear goals identified from the night before is going to help us the next day in getting right into those tasks, and using it as part of a system or a routine is going to help even that much more. So the third step that's been very effective for me in getting into flow state and getting things done is movement. I've heard the term that emotion is modified by motion. So if you have some favorite music that you like to play, or you want to dance, or whatever it is that gets you into a state, do it. Do it for a couple minutes. Now, my song, I have a song. Now, my oldest daughter, when she was growing up, she was in I think a flag team or drill team of some type, and they had Run DMC's song, It's Tricky, as one of their songs. And that song, I can just play it and dance. I think it's very fun. I just dance to that for a few moments, and that can put me in the flow state. Another thing that I learned is that if we imagine doing the thing, like I've done professional speaking for decades, and before I go out and speak to a large audience, I will put myself into a flow state, and it's pretty easy to do. Let me show you. And let me walk you through how to do it, because you can do it yourself before you're going to study or apply yourself. You can go into flow state. You can force it. So first of all, I can envision how it's going to look, how it's going to feel. I get all my emotions. How's it going to sound? What's it going to look like? How's it going to feel? And I imagine the audience. Maybe it's 500 people or 1,000 people, whatever it is. And before I go out, I imagine, okay, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to crush it because I'm prepared. I know what I'm going to say. I've got a message, and it's important. And I can keep these folks entertained to keep them engaged so they can learn. So let me demonstrate. So it goes like this. Hello, my name is Keith Barker, and on behalf of KnowledgeNet, I'd like to welcome you to this session on Windows NT, or whatever the heck it was. So I'd come out ready. I also have done some hypnosis work with some stand-up comics, and oh my gosh. So what I do with them, and we can use the same thing here with you and I, is we can envision what it looks like to just do a great job at whatever it is you want to do. In the case of the one comic I'm thinking of right now, his vision of going out there and just crushing it involved armor. And so we just built that image. Like, okay, what does that armor look like? Is that like Batman armor, black matte, black soft touch, or silver? What is that armor? So he envisioned that armor. That would just be like armor against anything that could come at him from the crowd, hecklers or whatever. And then we took that armor and had him visualize putting on that armor. Boom, 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 boom. Just like, ugh! He's a beautiful man, by the way. And then we took it one step further and we said, let's do this. Let's imagine backing up a step, and let's imagine a square that you taped on the floor. And what color do you want it to be? And I'm going to ask you the same thing. Envision what color of tape you want to have to make a square. It could be 2 feet by 2 feet or foot by foot. And what that's going to be, it's going to be power squared. That when you step into that box, you just are unfreaking stoppable. So let's do it. I'm going to do it with you. So unless you're driving, and then you need to pay attention to the road and stuff. But envision a box, a tape box on the floor. And it can be any color you want. Mine's a certain color that's in my mind. You can use whatever color you want. And then when we step into that box, just imagine the best possible you. And in the case of the stand-up comic, it was him with his armor just gonna crush it. And I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about that, because this is just flow state. You can create it because he's practiced, he knows his routine, he's a funny guy, and he's ready to deliver. So he puts on his armor in his mind, steps into the box, Oh my gosh. Unstoppable. I want to show you something real quick. I don't know if you can see those goosebumps, but they're there. So the other thing we can do is we can trigger those, and we can set up anchors. So an anchor that I use is my thumb at this part of my finger right here. So it looks a little funky, but you can use any trigger you want. And it's just a way to remind my body about the state that I want to be in. And so anytime I get into flow state and I'm conscious that, oh, I'm in flow state right now, it's great, I'm crushing it, I can just go like this and anchor that feeling. And I can take a bad day or a bad moment and I can force goosebumps. It's so weird, it's a hack. I can force goosebumps, and I'm reinforcing it right now because of the story with the stand-up comic. But we can use those techniques to get into flow state. So let's do a quick summary. Number one, the night before, identify those tasks that you are going to accomplish the next day. Imagine them being done well, crushing it, getting it done, how it feels to have that done, having it feel good. In the morning when you wake up, don't waste your time with social media, emails, anything. If you have to get up earlier to avoid that before you get into your routine, avoid it, get up earlier. And then start your routine. I would encourage some exercise, and then I would encourage maybe a little nutrition, maybe a shower, and then get right into your tasks as you envision them the night before, get into flow state. And then if you use the techniques of power squared, do that, or envision yourself unstoppable, because my friend, you are. You are unstoppable. And every day, if we just take a few moments to plan our day, get into flow state, do the work that we want to do, and then the next day, do it again, and then again, and again, and again. And life can be amazing. We can get great results by both triggering and entering into flow state, and also being aware that if we're not in flow state, we need to adjust. So my challenge and my invitation for you is to do the exercise where you track yourself with an alarm every half hour for a few hours, and identify, where's your mind? Are you in the past? Are you in the future? Or are you present? And if you're not present as much as you want to be, so you can be in flow state and really crush it, focus on using some triggers, including the night before, the tasks that are prioritized, systems that actually put you into flow, including the ones we talked about in this video, and enjoy flow state more and more. The quality of your life will improve. The service that you provide to others and people you love and the people you work for, that'll improve, and your overall quality of life will get better and better and better. So if you haven't already, please take a moment and subscribe, and I'll see you, my friend, in the next video. Meanwhile, thanks for watching.